Hello guys, welcome to my video. It's a guide on my Celestial Engineer. Now I just wanted to point out it's not a particularly over the top build, but it's pretty effective in my eyes. So let's go to the traits. Mainly it's the 30-30-10 build that a lot of people are running at the moment. I tend to go with a condition build. Even though I'm Celestial, I go with a condition side of it. So we've got shrapnel for the extra bleeds, we've got secondary power for burning, and obviously grenadier because we're going to be using grenades. There's no point going anything else really, is there? Also we've got sitting duck. Now sitting duck's a bit of a weird one. You can switch it out for where is it, precise sights. It just depends on what you prefer to play. I quite like using sitting duck because I play with a lot of different builds. I just switch out my weapons quite a bit and use glue bomb on my bomb kit, which is an immobilizer, cripple and vulnerability, so it works out pretty well for that. On the other big trait is modified ammunition because of the increased damage that you could do for each condition on your foe. Obviously it's a huge damage boost from using celestial gear, so it's well worth taking. Now this trait here, the 20 trait, is a little bit hit and miss. Not much in there for you to use, but that being said, there is a lot that you can utilize. Now I actually have a rifle as well, so occasionally I go for the 10% increase in damage. If I'm doing long range fights and I've got the rifle, I just go for the range increase. At the moment I'm running the pistol shots pierce because I find that's actually the most effective for getting more conditions out at a little bit of range, and you can kite round the room while having your pistol out. And finally, in the final trait line is speeder kits. Now speeder kits is obviously a no-brainer, just gets you around the map quickly, and also the increased crit damage is quite nice, as well as the tool belt recharge rate, which doesn't make a huge difference to your damage output, but it does mean that you can get some of your big abilities out quicker. Now on my armor I am running perplexity runes because they are ridiculously good for this build. It gives you confusion, works really well in PvP, Wealthy World. Now obviously this build's quite varied and it can be used in PvE as well, although it's not quite as effective because confusion doesn't really work, but it does give you that extra 2% damage, which is still nice in PvE, but it's less effective than say other builds. Some people I've heard actually take the scavengers runes just for the for PvE side of it, because you get vitality becomes condition damage, which actually helps quite a lot because you do have quite high vitality. It's not the greatest in the world, but you know, still nice. As you can see, I've got full celestial weapons and armor, and mainly celestial trinkets and rings and amulets. The only one I haven't is I have a power precision condition damage ring, and that's just to bring my percent crit up a little bit. If we go back to traits, you actually see that you get a 10% critical chance against foes below 30% health. Now this is really helpful. It means that you're critting half the time, and when you're throwing grenades you're throwing 2 or 3 at a time, so you're pretty much guaranteed at least 1 crit. Add to that the crits on bleeding, it makes it very effective. For my weapons, I'm currently rocking the Superior Sigil Corruption, which is a no-brainer, and Torment. AoE Torment's really nice because I tend to run condition duration food as well. So I have, if you look at my bags, I have quality tuning crystals. These are actually pretty good for Celestial as well because it buffs up your condition damage, and they're really cheap, and because you're stacking the stats anyway with toughness and vitality, included, you can get a nice boost to it. Obviously you can go for the higher level ones, but this is a nice cheap alternative. And quick X condition duration means that your conditions stick on a lot longer and you can do a lot more damage. I also have both pistol and rifle for different situations. The rifle is actually pretty effective with this build as well, because of you can take the increased damage trait and you can run around just blasting away from range. So if you're feeling a bit of a lazy mood, like some of us are when we're doing world bosses, you can change sit and duck to the increased range and change it to the 10% increased damage, and you can just pop away at bosses and sit back and relax, really. Now if I go to my slot skills, you can see it's pretty basic what I've got. Healing turret, because the heal is just so strong on it. I mean, you've got a blast finisher as well. Bomb kit, because bomb kit puts out some nice conditions. It can also give you the fire field, which is great for stacking might, and stealth as well with the smoke field. Grenades, self-explanatory, this is mainly grenade based. And finally, thumper turret. Now, thumper turret is a bit of an odd one. A lot of people don't like taking turrets, but the reason that I take thumper turret is because the overcharge is a blast finisher, the detonate is a blast finisher, and rumble is a blast finisher. So you got 3 blast finishers right there. Combine that with the big old bomb and the explosive, the detonate of the healing turret as well, you now have 5 blast finishers, which is very effective if combined with either firebomb, because that's 15 stacks of might, smoke, because that's smoke bomb, because that's about 20 seconds of stealth, and healing as well. It means you can do some really nice burst healing to support your group. So that is mainly my build. Obviously it's not the most complicated in the world. You just have to remember that bomb kit is great if you can be in. It should be the kit that you mainly sit in if you've got the opportunity to get in close. But the rest of the time you are just using 5, 4, 3, 2, switching out, making sure you keep barrage on cooldown. You're also making sure you get all of these on cooldown, and if you want a nice bit of burst damage as well, you can put all of these onto cooldown. Also, the reason I take a shield is again for another blast finisher. So now we're up to 18 stacks of might and even more healing. It's quite nice to have the reflect and the survivable stun. The only part of this kit that's really interchangeable is the thumper turret. Some people quite like to take the toolkit for the invulnerability. Others, I know some people like to take just an elixir just for a bit more survivability. If you're doing big zergs as well, elixir R is really handy. It gets you out of some really nice situations, but also that AoE revive is fantastic if you're in a big zerg and quite a few people go down. Surprising how many people you can get up with that. The final thing is the elite skill. Elite skill is supply crate. It's always supply crate. Not many people go with anything else. Obviously in Wealthy World sometimes I go for the defense column because of the big AoE shield, but the rest of the time you're always going for supply crate. A stun, immobilize, and all the healing it puts down, as well as burning from the flame turret, is just phenomenal. So hopefully you guys quite like this guide. If you did, please let me know in the comments below, and I will show you some footage of it in action so you can see how amazing this build is. Thank you.